Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this hanging ring light. This DIY project is easy. It's great if you're on a budget, a college student, just starting out in product photography, or just starting your YouTube channel. And best of all, you can make this ring light for under $30. And if you play your cards right, under $25. So without further ado, let's go. This is what you're going to need: cardboard box, a wire wreath frame, mine is 18 inches, you can go ahead and get a 12, daylight LED rope lights, zip ties, mine are 14 inches long, some aluminum foil, scissors, a knife, marker or a Sharpie, something to measure with like a measuring tape, muslin fabric or wax paper, and a glue gun or Elmer's glue. So first you'll need to just place your wire frame on your cardboard and draw an outline of the wire wreath frame, the inner circle and outer circle. And you want to make sure that the circle wires are curving toward you. And a good way to know this is if your outer circle is flush against your cardboard. Next, I used a knife to cut along the outline of the inner circle. At this point, I wasn't really sure what direction I would go. You've probably seen other tutorials that cut out an entire ring, but I think I'm gonna go with something different. So at this point, I'm only cutting out the inner circle of my cardboard. Next, I used the knife to clean up edges on the inner circle and the outer edges of the cardboard. This is entirely optional, and if you want a ring-shaped backing for your light, you can go ahead and cut the ring out at this point. Next, I moved on to my wire wreath and my rope lights, and I got my zip ties and just started to arrange my rope lights from the inside of the wire frame, and I made sure that the end that I was not going to attach to the plug or the outlet was what I started with. I am just using the zip ties to secure the rope light to the wire frame, working from the inner ring to the outer ring, and I'm also using those wires that cross all the rings to help secure it as well. And I'm also not tying the zip ties too tight because I don't want them to damage the lights. As you can see, I am securing the zip ties and also using the wires that run perpendicular to the rings to kind of anchor the zip ties as I secure the rope light. So here you can see how I just graduate to the next ring and securing the rope light with the zip ties. You'll also notice that I have the zip ties all facing inward. I just figured it would be easier to deal with cutting them and working with the zip ties to keep them going in one direction. And again, like I've said before, make sure that your rings are curving out towards you from the wire wreath. Once you get a hang of this part of the process, you will get into a groove and it'll go smoothly, but it does take some time, so you have to be patient. All in all, I would say that this entire project probably will take you between an hour to an hour and a half, maybe less if you are a bit more prepared and organized than I was. And just remember, you want the zip ties to secure the LED lights, but you don't want to make them too tight that they run the risk of damaging your LED bulbs. So at this point, you want to go ahead and just cut your zip ties. I actually tried using the scissors, but the spring back from it was just really painful on my hands. So I resorted to an old jewelry pliers, and that got the job done much easier for me. Once I'm done securing all my zip ties, I cut the ends off and just notice that the end of the rope lights that I am going to connect to the plug is hanging off slightly and not secured completely to the wire frame. So my clever little mind had an idea, and I decided not to do what I've seen other tutorials do by cutting the cardboard ring out, and I was just going to work with what I had here with just the inner circle cut out of the ring. So next, what I did was get some foil and just secure it to the cardboard by using some, just laying down some lines of hot glue and laying the least reflective side onto the glue, or have the most reflective side of the foil facing me. And since nobody's really going to be seeing the back of this thing, I wasn't really too concerned with making the back look a certain way. I just decided to cut the foil to just make it lay a little bit more flush against the curve of the inner circle, but that was really about it. And I just continued this until the entire cardboard was covered in foil, except for the strip at the top, because I have a little idea for up there. And here I am just making sure that the edge, the foil is secured at the back, because when I lay the muslin on it later, I just want to make sure that it has a good footing to just secure itself to. In hindsight, I really would have cut that piece off the top or made it shorter, because my goal is to make this ring light hangable, which it is, and you'll see at the end, but because of the length of the top piece, it made it a little bit too long. So here I'm just putting a hole in the top where I will be putting a zip tie through to secure the ring to the cardboard. So here I am hot gluing another strip of cardboard to the top part of this contraption. And I did this to reinforce the strength of this top piece, because I knew if I wanted to have this DIY ring light hanging, I would need to make where I'd be hanging it from stronger so that the cardboard wouldn't eventually give way. So next I started to secure the wire wreath by sliding the zip ties between the rope light and the wire frame and securing it to the cardboard. And you're just going to see me do that a couple times, top, bottom, and the left and right, just to make sure that the ring light is stable. So I made sure to go back and double up on the zip ties in the areas that I had secured it to the cardboard. So left, right, and the bottom. So once you get all your zip ties secured, you could actually go ahead and just plug your ring light in and stop right here, and you'd have a pretty decent DIY ring light situation going on. But because I want this to hang and I want it to diffuse the light more effectively, I'm going to take it a little bit further. So to sort out my hanging situation, I go ahead and take my measuring tape and measure a few inches in and make these marks even, and then I go ahead and just punch some holes there with my scissors, because what I'm going to do is take some zip ties and run them through these holes so that I can make this ring light hangable. But like I said, in hindsight, I would have made this part of my light shorter so that it could hang a little bit higher. But I think part of that problem too is because my wreath is 18 inches as opposed to 12. If I had a 12-inch wreath, I think I'd be set because it wouldn't be so long. But in any case, if you do happen to try this and you have a 12-inch wreath, you should be good to go. And there's my hanging contraption. So this is actually a pretty neat idea if you're going to put a hook on your wall and hang this from there, or put this on the back of your door for your filming, etc. Yeah, this works pretty good for that. But if you do decide to just go for the ring, you can probably just use zip ties and attach it around your ring once it's finished putting together and hang it from a hanger. So now I am just measuring out the muslin cloth and getting it situated so that I can cut the right size off to cover the light. I bought 2 yards and this is going to use just under 1 yard. You don't necessarily need the measuring tape here for this, because you can just place your fabric on top and average out the size of fabric that you'll need. But if you want to be a little bit more meticulous, you can definitely use your measuring tape to get this together. I just went through and made sure to glue all the edges down of the fabric, and in the process just secure any of the foil that wasn't glued down properly prior to this. So at the bottom where I have the piece that connects to the plug, I'm just going to snip the fabric a little bit and just try to finagle it and work it around so that that piece is exposed so that it can connect to that wire that plugs into the outlet. And here I'm just cleaning up the edge at the top and snipping off the extra fabric so that I can glue it down and finish this off. So the next thing I'm going to do is flip it over and just make a snip in the center so that I can cut the muslin cloth, the fabric, into pieces so that I can have them glued to the back and just form like a snug cover over the lights. So you just want to cut them like almost like slices of a pie, but it doesn't really matter what shape they take. You just have to make sure that you make them small enough so that when you glue them, they don't look baggy from the front and they just form a nice snug cover like I mentioned before. But once you get done securing and gluing down these pieces, you can just snip off any extra bits of fabric that aren't glued down, and that's it. Your DIY ring light is ready to go. Don't leave just yet, because next I'll be telling you what changes or different methods you can use to get a better result for your hanging DIY ring light. I just wanted to show you what my results were with my DIY ring light. This is what it looks like without the DIY ring light. Obviously, this is the light off. This is with the ring light. It kind of balances out the orange tone of the regular lights in my house. And I know that when it is daylight out, once I go into another area, because I don't get any light in my bathroom at all, but once I go into another area, I should have better results with it. And if you are into like product photography, like jewelry and stuff, this should add, if you're able to rig it up, this should help with the lighting. And so I'm just going to show you what it looks like with the lights off above and just the ring light on. And here you have it. And I think this is a pretty good result. Now you can definitely, like I said, you can definitely go ahead and use wax paper like you've seen in other tutorials, and I'll show you right now what my thoughts are on what I have so far and what I would change. I just have the hanger and the zip ties, and yeah. So this piece here, because it hangs so long and it's kind of below my face, I have to actually come down this way to be in the middle of it. I would shorten that, but I also realized that it is because of the fact that this is an 18-inch wire frame. So if you find a 12-inch frame, you will be much better off in terms of the size and in terms of being able, because a 12-inch wire frame would basically be like the inside of this right here. So it'll be that small, and if it were on this, it would be higher anyway. I don't know if that makes sense. So for me, another option that you'd have is actually putting the zip ties, instead of having this piece up here, you can put the zip ties right here and just have them on all four corners so that you can rig it up however you want, so that this piece that attaches to your cord that plugs into the wall can be put on whichever side is closest to the outlet or is more suitable for running your wire. Or if you wanted to, have your zip ties actually attach around here. So if you didn't have all this and you just had the square, or you just did the ring, you could put zip ties around the ring itself, kind of like how I have them wiring through here, but put them around here and then have the zip ties that you put around here be the zip ties that you're going to suspend it from. So the good thing about using the zip ties is that if you have like hooks over your door, you can actually just hook them onto, you know, the hooks and hang them from there. So guys, I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you're going to try it. Let me know if you're going to rig it up differently from other ring lights you've seen or what I've done here. And if you find any other hacks from making it hangable or suspendable. So guys, that's it.